We're going to break down the next section in our first form. So we've done the blocks. We broke all the blocks down. 1, 2, 3. We got this one, all the blocks. Now, and we broke down the horse stance already. So this next section, we're going to work on a few basic strikes. But more importantly, or equally as important anyways, is shifting of the hips. So we have two ways of generating power when we strike. Besides just my muscles moving my arm, we have two main ways to actually make that powerful. One is forward movement. So when I'm punching, I'm moving forward, so there's some momentum from behind it. The second way is rotation, where I'm rotating my body into the strike. So this is going to focus on that rotation. So we're in a horse stance. That's where we started from, and our last move was with our right hand block. So our next move in the form is a hammer fist strike, a downward hammer fist strike. It's super basic. If you ever had like a 2-year-old get mad at you and do one of these things, it's kind of like that, okay? We don't use it super often, but you smack somebody in the top of the head with this thing, and it's going to rattle their brain a little bit. You can also use it to strike the collarbone. Supposedly you can break the collarbone with it, but I've never known that to ever happen. In theory it works, and everybody says that's what we're using it for, but I don't actually know this ever happening in a fight ever, and it could just be that nobody ever throws the attack, so that's why it never happens. But besides that, the third final way I like to use it is like if I had an opponent bent down and use it as a downward strike. Like some people like to throw the elbows there, but I don't think they're as powerful as that full strike. You hit somebody with that thing, especially like the back of the head or something, fight's over, fight's done, right? They're not getting back up anytime soon, if at all. Like back of the head's illegal for a reason. So very deadly strike in that circumstance. Otherwise, it's just a good way to shake somebody's brain around. So we're in the horse stance. We're going to move from our horse stance to, technically it's going to be a front stance, but we're not exactly facing the front, but our legs are in the same position. So we're going to take our hips and turn them about a 45-degree angle to our right side here. Now when we do that, our left leg is locking in place, our right leg is bent, so my knee is straight over straight up and down. Okay, it doesn't want to be leaning forward or leaning back or in or anything like that. So we come here. So our rotational force is coming from the muscles that we're using to twist our body, but it's also coming from the floor, because when we rotate, this floor or this leg is locking, and if I just do that right here and just lock, I'm jutting my body to the side, so I'm using my leg to help turn me. So I twist the hips at the same time I do that, and it's forcing my body in this general direction, or in a swing in this direction, okay? Now, I could use that to punch straight in front of me here, but in this case, in the form, we're just going to punch straight to the center. So first thing is a hammer fist, then we're going to come to the punch. So when we rotate, the left hand is coming basically straight over the head, covering my head. It's a head cover that we'll get to in a little bit, and down. Here, so it's covering my head and down. If I'm hitting the top of the head, then bringing it down about shoulder level is fine, right? Target's up here, we aim down here. If I was hitting the collarbone, I want to bring it to like the center of the chest, because I always want to strike past my target. So 1, 2, then our next strike is going to be with a palm strike to the face. So when we shift, the arm's coming in from the chest, straight out in front of my nose, with the corner, butt end, heel side of my palm that is striking. Okay, not the flat part. Fingers shouldn't be out, because I'll get my fingers broke, or I'll poke them in the eye, which isn't necessarily what I'm trying to do. I don't want them loose, I want them to tighten up, because then I'm hitting with something solid instead of just slapping them. So when I rotate, it's like I'm throwing that out from my hip. Straight out to the nose, we shift to the other side, then we're going to do the same thing with the punch. But the punch, we're going to aim towards the center of the chest, the pointy bone of the body, the solar plexus. Okay, so we're here, we rotate, then it comes from the hip, straight out, elbows in tight. So don't let the elbow flare on any of these strikes. The elbow comes in and flips over. Yeah, the hand flips over, so it's a reverse punch. Flip, okay, palms down, center of the chest. I do the same thing, flip. If I do this with my elbow coming out, there's no structure behind the arm to actually put any mass behind it. If I bring this elbow in, my body is behind it, and I'm rotating into it, so I'm using my own body to put weight behind that hand. Whereas if I just fill the hand out here, there's not a lot of mass behind it, okay? So force is mass and acceleration. So speed, essentially, and how heavy something is. So if I put more weight behind it, I hit harder. So 1, 2, and that's our strikes there. Then we're going to come back to a horse stance and do 2 more punches. So horse, we go a double punch. 1, 2. Now why? This is teaching 2 things. One, when we shift and we have one shoulder out in front, this hand doesn't hit, okay? So I can hit harder, but I can't reach with both hands. If I'm in a squared stance, either a horse stance or a front stance, which we'll get to in a second, then I can hit with both hands without moving. Okay, so I can rotate a little bit, not quite to the same extent, okay, but 1, 2, this teaches us in a square stance, both hands reach equally as far. 1, 2. And it also teaches us to break the rhythm of 1, 2, 3, because we don't want to just keep striking with this 1 and 1 rhythm. We need to be able to double our speed, right? It's not here, 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 here. It's, right? We speed that up, right? If you're fighting somebody and you're just constantly throwing at the exact same rhythm, it's very predictable. If I can throw and then all of a sudden, like, double or triple and change that rhythm that I'm pacing at, that can throw an opponent off. Okay, so we're learning double here. The next thing, the last, let's call it the last section of this video anyways, is we're going to step back and the front hand is going to punch. Now, we don't have any forward power. We don't have a lot of rotation. We have very little rotation. If we twist a little bit, we're off balance. So I don't like to do it from that stance. What we're learning though is front stance. So we already did it at an angle. Now we're learning it actually facing the front. So my right leg comes back, straight line until my leg is locked. Okay, this is wider than a lot of other styles. Right, I want good side-to-side stability. I've got 60% of my weight back here. I've got 40 here, okay? If I put more weight on this leg, I reach farther, this is more vulnerable to leg kicks, and it would be very devastating. Here, I can pick this foot up a little bit easier, and my knee's gonna be a little bit safer. Also, because I'm a little bit wider, I'm better off if somebody's trying to grab this leg. So if I have all my weight here, and they get this leg, like it's extended very far where they can grab it easier. Whereas if I square up just a little bit more, go a little bit wider, I can hit a little bit better with both hands. Where here, I'm reaching a little bit. I can't really hit past my target the same way I could from here if I needed to. So there's a bunch of reasons why I'm using the stance this way, but this is our front stance. So we're here, at the same time we're stepping back, we're throwing a front hand punch. This is not intended to be powerful, this is intended to create space. So this is all of a sudden somebody's close to me, they're walking in, it's basically like a shove. I'm stepping back, I'm doing a hit, I'm mostly, the power's coming from just my arm, but it is a setup to move on. Right? So this is like, hey, I'm just creating space so that I can strike. That's what this move is. 1, 2, and it teaches us to move back in a stable position in our front stance. We'll pick up the form in the next video.